All right, ladies and gentlemen, today's show is going to start off a little bit differently. We have a special guest that we're going to be giving an open forum to. There's been quite a bit said from our side. Now it's time for him to share his side. Well, without further ado, the Drip King cometh. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Wrestle Buddy's own Jimmy Bebe.
What up? What up? What up? Thank you for having me. Having me.
It is good to see you again, Jimmy.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, but we're not here for the formalities right now. Let's bring the cap in. Let's mute me and Devin, and then the floor will be your two. Welcome, Cap.
We meet again. It has been almost a year since what I would argue the robbery of the century as far as professional wrestling booking goes. And here today, hopefully, finally, maybe, we will be able to put aside some things and hopefully eventually get down to the business of, shall we say, finally cleansing and having a real competition. Now, it's a good thing I've taken my medication today because there's a lot of things I would like to say to this gentleman. But he's our guest, so I'm going to give him the floor to begin this thing.
I'm more here to, I guess, just talk this thing through, if anything, because I'm hella confused. I thought we had a good time in our matchup last year, and I would have been more than willing to do a rematch. The way it went about just kind of seemed a little weird to me. So I'm here to figure out what's going on with that, get some things figured out, and maybe we could do business again. That's what I'm here for. Whoop. Things a little heavy.
As you know me, I'm always about doing business. The first thing we've got to get figured out is I want to know, live in front of the world, what happened? Tell me, Alex. I know that our good buddy Nicholas and my little brother Matthew had nothing to do with the shank job that was done upon me. And I've always been about 85-90% that you were more an unindicted co-conspirator, or you were just kind of there. You were just kind of there. My problem is that you, having had the tenure that you did where we were, you didn't step up and tell Alex, no, fuck that. We're not doing the man that way. We're doing a legit rematch. You can take your horseshit, hokey sideshow gimmick that you're wanting to do for entertainment and shove it straight up your ass, because either he and I are going to do a legit contest or we're not doing anything. And for some reason, you did not do that. And I felt a very strong sense of betrayal because I thought you and I were becoming pretty good friends, even though, yes, we were, we were battling back and forth with each other on Twitter and on the internet, and we were, which was part of business, part of the game, which, that's all well and good. I enjoyed that shit. But ultimately, why did you not step up and tell Alex, because I wouldn't have had a problem doing that.
First question I have before I jump into this. Am I going to be called a liar for what I'm about to say?
Depends on what you say.
I'm going to speak the truth. I have no reason not to. But this is the gist of it right here. We get the tie, and we can talk about that after this if you want to. Get to the tie, and then we don't know what to do. So I get presented with the idea. I don't know which one I presented two separate ideas. I can't tell you which one was first. It was far back. I tried to go back. Me and Alex talk a lot. I can't find it.
Why was I not presented with an idea? Why was I just
I'll get to this.
All right.
Now, when they told me they wanted to do a quiz, I said, no, that is a stupid idea. It doesn't make sense.
Kudos to
you. And
you.
I believe my first idea was, I think that we should just go ahead and book from Starrcade to the next pay-per-view and just do another book. And I thought that's what we were going to get. And then next thing I know, we aren't getting it. And when I found that out, I was not happy. So what I did then is I went and I said, all right, well, then here's what I want to do. Are we going to pull the curtains back on this?
Pull the curtains back. I ain't got shit to hide.
Back here. My second idea was, as everyone that was paying attention knew, I was playing the conspiracy theory gimmick, the play. I was making
which was good business, I have to say.
That was doing a conspiracy.
That was very inventive. That was a great gimmick.
So when it became a tie, and my first idea got shot down, I said, you know what? I think the thing I wanted to do more than anything with that show was to get it over, because Nick created it. I believed in what Nick was doing, and I wanted it to keep going. So I did everything in my power to make it as entertaining and watchable as possible. So when my first idea got shut down, I said, okay, here's what I want to do. I'm not going to do the quiz. And since I got a conspiracy theory going, I can just play on that, refuse to do it. Someone can show up in my spot, and then when Cap wins, I'll come back next season as the masked El Americano Nightmare, or whoever I might have been with my masks. And then I would come through. Obviously, it was going to be me in the second season, but I was going to be playing the fact that, no, I'm not. This isn't Jimmy. I'm whoever the character was going to be. And then in the finals, if I won, I would reveal myself as to be, I came back with a vengeance, and that was the idea I had. And then I was told again, it seemed like, from what I heard, that's what we were going to do. And then we didn't do it, and they went ahead with the quiz anyway, in which I said, all right, well, if we're doing the quiz and I could do nothing to prevent us from doing the quiz, can I just have someone do it for me? Because I was going to get someone to do the quiz for me. And they said, yeah, that's fine, as long as there's someone there. They had no idea. Nobody had any idea what the plan was. And honestly, 30 minutes.
Let alone the other guy involved in the show.
He did not know.
No.
He had no idea I was putting El Americano Nightmare on that thing. Nobody. And
I found about 5 minutes before we went live on the air what the fuck was going on.
Exactly. Because we came in and Nick immediately was like, Jimmy, no. He was not with it. And I had to be like, no, I promise you, I'm doing the quiz. And then it played out. Nick liked it. I was happy with that because, again, it was Nick's show, and I'm just trying to help Nick's show grow and make everything work. And that's all it was. Alex had no idea I was doing that. Nick had no idea I was doing that. And again, 30 minutes prior to the show, I didn't even really know because I was still debating whether or not I was going to show up or not. And those are the two ideas I presented, and then went with that third thing because I got tired of dealing with it. I didn't want to do the quiz. It was a terrible idea. You and me both agree on that. I just was coming up with ideas. Why you didn't?
You were trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
I was trying my best. I was trying to be as entertaining as possible because that's what I felt was right for the show. It was a booking show. It has to do with storylines and characters and gimmicks. Why not spruce it up a bit? And that was the whole deal. What happened afterwards is what it is. I had nothing to do with any of it. I just played a role, and then the shit happened, and that's that.
Yeah, it is not surprising that, Alex made a ridiculous call.
In his defense, I will say, we did a lot of quizzes for WrestleBuddy, and those were kind of a big draw for him. So he was probably looking at that.
Booking show versus quiz show.
I'm not agreeing
Even
with it.
I can vouch for that.
I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just simply stating we did a lot of quizzes, and they were draws for him. So he was probably looking at it as, well, if we do another booking, it could be a tie. Maybe it wouldn't. I wouldn't think it would be. I still wish we could have done it. But
the odds would be astronomical.
Why he went with the quiz.
The odds are astronomical that we tied anyway.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Well, you pulled the curtain back. I'll pull my curtain back. I was completely opposed to the idea of a quiz at all because I know, and this is nothing against Matthew, but I know I've seen a lot of these quiz shows, and they tend to have a recency bias, if we may. And as everyone knows, while I'm know a fair amount about wrestling from the 1930s onward, I don't really necessarily specify in one area to where I, just nerd out on who was the third entrant in a such Royal Rumble or, the minutia of it. I was completely opposed to a booking show at all. I was going to, try and do what little I could. I come on the show and we're backstage and it's a few minutes before things are about to go live. And I am getting hit with every possible sling and arrow of outrageous fortune. And at that point, I was tempted to just get up out of my seat and walk out. The only reason I didn't was because of Nicholas Edwards, a very fine man who, whether you watch his content or not, this is a very wonderful human being. And he asked me to do Buddy Wars. I made it to the finals of the finals, shall we say. And the only reason I stayed and took the abuse that I did was for Nick. That aside, I wish, having pulled the curtain back, I wish you would have come to me and let me know what was being chirped, to use a Canadian hockey phrase.
Are you referring to the quiz?
Yes, I wish,
As far as I knew, you knew about it. From Alex and Nick, I believe I had heard that everyone was on board with doing the quiz. Everyone was aware that we were doing a quiz at the very end.
I was aware of the quiz, but it was the other things that I wish I would have been let in on either by Alex or by you.
Which things?
The masked person, and I'll leave it at that.
He had no idea. He couldn't tell you. And the reason I did it was for shock value. I was, again, trying to make it entertaining. And if Nick had no idea and you had no idea and you guys were getting the look of it, it was like, okay, this is fun. This is interesting. And that was the whole plan behind it. That was it. There was no ill will intended. There was no trying to make nobody look bad. It was literally in the showmanship. That's what it was for. Showmanship. And I guess anybody who's watched anything I do knows that's all I'm about. I'm about some showmanship. I'm there to spruce it up, make it fun or annoying to some people. I get it. I'm annoying to some people, but that's just how I see it.
Well, I do appreciate your showmanship factor. Probably something I could learn a bit more about. I would say that had you taken it more seriously as a legit booking competition and clued me in on the hoo-ha that I was not told about, we would have both stood shoulder to shoulder and said, no, we fought our asses off. We worked our asses off to get to where we were. Unfortunately, the mathematics of it, we wound up in a tie through the internet poll.
Let me pull some curtains back again on this one right here. And this isn't to brag about stroke or anything of that nature, but at Wrestle Buddy, I kind of had a little bit of stroke because I was doing a lot of content. I was, as you've put it before, the golden boy. If that's the case, I'm not going to comment yes or no. I'm just going to say I was doing a lot of content.
As was I. Let's not forget, I was doing about 4 shows a week for Wrestle Buddy at that point.
I'm stating this, though. Your one show,
Captain's Table,
Captain's Table. Thank you. I forgot the name of it. I
The
apologize.
weekend show, the PLEs, the show we were launching with Dan, Buddy Wars. I was busting my ass as much as you were.
I'm not saying anything about that nature. I'm simply just stating the Captain's Table was never going to get off the. It was never going to happen. But I stepped in and said, I think this is a fun show. I like the idea of the show. If I was to join the show, can he do it? And then you got the green light to do the show. So if I was able to do
I appreciate that.
If I was able to do that, there was no way we were going to change the mind of a quiz show happening. That was what he had in his head, and that's what he was going to do. It wouldn't have mattered if you joined in with me or not. He just had in his head that's what he was going to do, which is why, again, I contemplated just not even showing up to it. Because as much as I wanted Nick's thing to succeed, I had a perfect gimmick to where I could have done just that, and it would have been fine, and it would have worked. But I didn't want to do that. I said, you know what? I have this idea. I think it's funnier. I think it's better, and that's what we did. So I know you didn't want to. I didn't want to either, but there was no changing it. It was bound to happen. It was going to happen, and that's it.
It's so ironic that in a booking concert here, I'm getting Montreal Screwjob vibes. I'm feeling like, not that Nick was Earl Hebner or that, Maddie was in any kind of, play there, but I get the sense that, Vince pulled Jimmy Bay aside and, the hook him in the sharpshooter and then Gerald Briscoe's going to get you the hell out of there. Not that that's what happened. It was a little bit more detailed and convoluted than that.
I can swear on anything and everything. I had no part in any kind of screw job involved in this.
Well, no, you don't have to swear on anything. If anything, I will say this about Jimmy Bay, and I will say this, he has never told me a lie. He has never been dishonest. He said a lot of shit that I don't like and probably will continue to, but he's never told a lie.
No reason to. There's no reason to.
Well, all that having been revealed, I do owe you an apology to an extent. I should never have brought up El Americano Nightmare in the fashion that I did. That was simply done as a, shall we call it a poking and prodding stick to get your attention. That, no, I still feel raw about this. And, I didn't like it that you sent in a secondary and, allowed a colleague to be embarrassed live for the world to see by a small child, not thinking of what that would do, why I ultimately had to resign from the network that I was loving, that I was working my ass off for. My reputation at that point in our business, when that show ended, went from being worth about $2.50 to not being worth a Lincoln penny. Because if I'm expected to do what we do and, he just was defeated in a bullshit horseshit trivia competition by a child, well, this guy, there's nothing, why should we pay attention to him? And I went to Alex after that whole shenaniganery, and the response I was met with was one of complete ineptitude. I thought this guy had a few neurons bouncing between his ears. I found out this guy, he doesn't know shit about booking. He doesn't know shit about pro wrestling. He doesn't know shit about how to set things up. All he's there for, he wants to be the Vince McMahon of what we do. He wants to sell sizzle and not steak. I'm not into any sizzle. I'm in it for the steak. So, Alex, you can do what you will, my friend, but I think you need to reevaluate and assess the business that you're in. Hope Geek Buddy works out well, because when it comes to pro wrestling, you don't know jack squat, my friend.
I'll just step in and say I disagree with all those statements. Alex is a wonderful human being, and he knows what he knows, and I'll leave it at that. But if you'd like to move on to something else, we can. If there's more to this, we can keep going.
There is more.
Okay.
We started RAWBall on Super Bowl Sunday this year, and here we are, August 15th. We had our final booking match back somewhere in November, if I remember my dates correctly, late October, early November. So we're closing in on a year here. And I still feel pretty damn raw about the deal. And as I said earlier, Jimmy Bay may be a lot of things, but he's not a liar. And the fact that you stepped up and showed up today, reinforces, or shall I say, reconfirms in my head that you are a man of your word. So I'm asking you to be a man of your word and give me the legitimate rematch that we both deserve, that I deserve. And I am suggesting that in the coming month, 2 months, we can discuss a date that will work for all parties involved. You pick a judge, I pick a judge, and then there will be a third party that we both agree on. And we do a legitimate booking competition again, as we did in our final competition. And once and for all, we settle this between the two of us. If you beat me, you beat me. We don't do an internet poll. We leave it up to 3 judges. We don't do any kind of chicanery like that. There must be a winner, Iron Man match, whoever's got the most falls when the bell rings. And if it doesn't, we ain't going to overtime. We're going to have the panel of judges figure it out. It'll be a 3 judge panel, so there can't be a tie. And we have a booking competition between you and I to settle this once and for all. If you beat me, you beat me. And then I will say you are a better booker than I am. But if I win, I want it spread and shouted throughout the land that I am the guy who beat the guy whom they, shall we say, appointed as the booker.
I took it, to be honest. I took it. I busted my ass and I took it. Who was it appointed?
Oh, I didn't bust my ass.
I didn't say that.
Jimmy.
Who was I there first, busting my ass before you were there? And then it took you a while to get your things going. I'm not saying you weren't busting your ass. I'm saying I was busting my ass first and didn't let up.
I'm saying I outbooked you at every turn. I outbooked everyone at every turn.
You did.
You know it, and I know it.
You think, but you don't know.
Oh, I know, and I would pretty much say anyone watching the Buddy Wars tournament would agree that I outbooked everybody in the room and then some.
I heard one person say that you technically won, and I don't really care for that dude's opinion, so it doesn't really matter.
I will say that is where I come in, because I have asked Jimmy, and I've already talked with Cap, would there be a possibility of a booking rematch, one-on-one?
So I have some I guess, I don't want to say ground rules, but some ideas for this booking match.
As do I.
Ideas. I will be the mediator.
If those can be adhered to, I'd be more than willing to.
Do you have these in writing, or are these just kind of in your head?
They're in my head. There's nothing crazy. Okay. Just a few little guidelines I'd like.
And this is YouTube, so it's on record. So.
Yeah, it's on record.
All right. What are the ideas that you have?
So we've all mentioned Nick here. Nick's wonderful.
Yeah,
Wrestling Legion, for those who haven't checked him out, he's amazing. We have some other buddies over there, Andy Inside. They're awesome. You should check them out. But Nick has a new show coming out for booking. And I thought, man, what better way to help promote his show was for us to do our rematch, which started on his other show, to do it on his new show, on his channel. Get some eyes. We can all promote, three-way promotion. Everyone wins.
I'll do anything for now.
I think I can agree to that as well. I do like that.
And since
Nick is one of those guys I'll do the job for, and you don't even have to ask me twice.
Absolutely. And since we've already discussed it, I think Nick would be the one judge that we both agreed on. He'd be the tiebreaker, if you will.
Middle ground.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
That's one, and I feel like that's more than fair, and everyone has no issue with that one. Here's the second one, though. I'll say this. The second one, just like I would assume you want veto power.
I will not be a judge, and I promise that.
Since we both would want a veto power and the other person's choice for, I think we should all be accepting of the people we choose. Like, I'm not going to bring on somebody that's clearly just going to vote for me because he's in my back pocket. And so if you wanted to veto my choice, you have that option. I just want the same option. So again, the judges are on a fair playing field.
Fair enough. I can live with that.
And then third one, I would like to do current booking. That means I want to use rosters from today's period.
Okay.
And I have reasons for it. One, if we scheduled this correctly, we could literally do it from pay-per-view to pay-per-view, schedule the show for the night, whatever show he does after the pay-per-view, and then we could literally not only be booking against each other, but booking against the current product as well. We could say, okay, well, they had the better Survivor Series over WWE. He had it over. I feel like, a blind monkey could outbook present television. And that's
PLEs are a different story, but yeah.
That's exactly why I want to do it. It's because you're so confident that you're better than today's booking that I want to see it. I want to see it happen. And we don't even have to do WWE.
I could hog tie Paul Levesque and Tony Khan.
MJF so much. We could do either one. The choice is yours. But I would like to do it that way because, again, it adds an extra element to it.
Backtrack 1 second. What were you?
We could do WWE or AEW. Your choice. I know you're not a fan of AEW, but I also know you love some MJF. So,
I'm not an AEW hater. I'm just a big I'm a big opponent of how shoddily I think that promotion that could be up here is being booked by a child who is just playing with his action figures and doesn't seem to understand what to do. He needs to kick fucking Omega and the Bucks and their whole crew. They should have been fired the day they laid a hand on Punk. But that aside, WWE or AEW.
You don't even have to pick now. You can think about it.
Right.
Because we don't even have a scheduled date and time. I just wanted to get those three pieces out there. I think those are more than fair.
I'm on board with number one. I'm on board with number two. As to which company,
as long as they're current rosters, I think you can do that as well, Cap.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily have a preference because there's very few guys from either promotion that would be on my roster, to put it that way. So I would pretty much be fine with either. We can decide at a later date which one we want to go with, but I have no problem with either one.
I will say, based on the formula we've used in the past, 4 weeks pay-per-view, that's how we booked in the past. WB might be easier to do with this because they have that schedule in play. AW becomes a little bit harder to kind of do that because there's, I think 3 months between each, but then they also have, so I don't know. But I'm good with either one of them. I just think current day, it just adds that nice little extra twist to it.
I
would be fine with current day booking. God knows I sit here on a weekly basis and just want to shit myself with sadness over how I see things being booked.
I shit myself with happiness because I love it so much.
I do have booking aside.
Hold on, Jim, since we got you here, Dominic Mysterio, North American champion. What are your thoughts?
He's the GOAT.
I love it.
I'll go ahead and plug this on my channel right now. I have a surefire way of making Dominic Mysterio the top babyface in all of WWE. You should go check it out. It's like 5 minutes long. I love Dominic Mysterio.
You want to make him the top babyface? I want to make him the top heel. I can draw money with the heat that guy gets.
And I It's not a quick turn. It's a 2-year plan, and I if you want to check it out, just to show how much I love Dominic Mysterio. I'm #1 Dominic Mysterio stan.
See, this is the thing. Jimmy and I love a lot of the same guys, but the way we would book them, Jimmy wants to be a babyface booker. I want to be a heel booker.
I got it. I figured this out.
I want to book heat.
You're more Cornette. I'm more Vince Russo.
I think that's a very weird way of putting it.
Jimmy, whoa. We're not going to let into that. Please do not.
Dude, no,
Jimmy, you are too decent of a human being to lump yourself in with Vince fucking Russo.
I'm not saying I am Vince Russo, but as far as
comparing yourself to someone of a Vince Russo should have never been allowed in a professional wrestling arena. You are better than Vince Russo. I won't extend a lot of compliments your way, but you are better than Vince Russo. A blind monkey playing with his own shit can book a show better than Vince Russo. You're better than that.
Just the styles is what I was referring to. I think that's as close to
Crash TV.
I think Crash TV is fun.
So,
in case you haven't read the obituaries lately, Jerry Springer's fucking being eaten by worms.
Yeah.
So we have the basic ground rules agreed to. The date, we can come up with one that's going to work for everyone.
And we'll definitely have to talk with Nick as well for it, but I do like where this has led. This 30-minute conversation has actually led to some positivity. Well,
no. We've had Jimmy's caveats. It's time for Cap's caveats. All right. #1 caveat, no surprise book this event. No, rebook this pay-per-view. No, we dedicate the entire show to the booking of whatever it is we are assigned to. No, because if I remember correctly, in Buddy Wars, it was 3 rounds. We did our thing.
Yeah, I just want to book. I don't want to do that extra shit.
Yeah.
No.
A one-on-one booking match.
One-on-one booking. The entire thing is laid out for us. The amount of time that we'll have for initial rebuttal, whatever, that can be decided later. But none of this, secondary and, third level horse hockey. That's #1 that I wanted to get out there. Second thing is, obviously, I want, and as I said earlier, Jimmy Bebe has never lied to me. Jimmy Bebe has been a lot of things. He may have been a thorn in my side, a hemorrhoid in my ass.
I'm a pain in the ass. I know.
And
this.
maybe quite possibly
pain in the ass.
A guy who, now that he has pulled the curtain back, helped me get my show started with Wrestle Buddy, which I did not know. Jimmy, I will publicly thank you for that.
Jimmy's always been a good person to me as well. I'll never deny that.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I will.
Really, I'll just say this. I'll let you finish your caveat, and then I'll say my piece. But
I will ask for your word right now, live as a man. There will be no substitutes. There will be no men in masks. There will be no Boy Scouts. There will be no guys dressed in gimp outfits beating each other over the head with steel dildos. There will be no horse shit or hoo-ha. It'll be you and I, one-on-one, with the panel of judges. There will not be any. I can't
guarantee I won't wear a mask, but there will be no substitution.
As long as it's him under a mask, I think I'll be okay with it.
I think it's pretty clear to tell that it'll be me.
And caveat #3, this is something that we will have to figure out because we understand we'll have the panel of judges, but who is going to decide what it is exactly that we are booking? I know you mentioned the modern day roster. We mentioned that.
I like the idea of pay-per-view to pay-per-view, so we should wait until the next pay-per-view route.
I was going to say, I don't know. I think there's a song.
Because Nick would say, okay, you're both going to be booking X pay-per-view for this month, whatever.
So let's just say it's Survivor Series. We you basically are writing from the last pay-per-view up to Survivor Series.
So we'll give you guys about 3 months. So at the October,
if it's Survivor Series, I'm not saying it has to be. I'm just saying if that is, because like I said, I would like to just book it month to month to see. Oh, can they fix the problems that they think there are? Can they make this better, or are they just not as good as they think they are?
I think that's a really good idea, Captain.
Book, say, throwing out a hypothetical, say booking between the Mishigosh that was SummerSlam to Survivor Series and fixing.
More like booking the October pay-per-view.
Up to Payback. Look, like I said, the 4 weeks pay-per-view.
Payback to Survivor as an example.
I think there's a Saudi show after Payback.
Yeah, so it would be the Saudi show.
That's going to be the only wrinkle there because Saudi shows tend to sometimes not really go with anything. They're just, but sometimes they do.
Saudis are kind of carnival tent shows.
Sometimes it's not. It's hard to tell. Can't really speak on it. But if anything, we can do Survivor Series to whatever pay-per-views after that, since that'll probably be.
If I believe last year they didn't do a pay-per-view between Survivor Series and Rumble. I think
that's possible too. I don't know. I don't have the schedule, but that's possible.
In fact, I don't even think they did a
I'm
PLE.
pretty sure there is a Saudi show in October.
Yeah, I know they have another one.
Yeah.
And it's not a Saudi show. It's the one in Australia.
Is it Night of Champions that's happening in October?
No, that was the one that happened earlier this year.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah. Where not all championships were defended. Okay. So I think we've got some basic. We've got some basic. That was about what I had there. We've got the basics here to figure out what to do. Agreeing on judges, agreeing on which we seem to really agree on format. I didn't think we would agree on that, but that was the one that. Well, we agree on Nicholas and we agree on the format, so that's a good starting point.
Yeah, I mean, you guys also agreed on the veto power, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I don't even know who I would appoint or choose.
I think I've got a pretty good neutral personality that we've got, Cap. Our 5-hole hitter.
I want someone in there who knows the business, and as much as I may love that particular individual, I want someone who knows the business and understands a fair bit about what we're doing. I think with that gentleman, as much as we may love him, I think there's some.
We are talking about Shook, by the way, Jim.
Yeah.
I figured.
I would say there's a bit of recency bias there. I want someone who understands the business, who's been a student of it for a long time. That's who I would pick as my judge, who will either applaud what I do or will call bullshit on what I do. But someone who understands and knows what booking is and how the business works. But that can, I'm fine with the parameters as stated today so far.
So I think we've got somewhat of a online handshake between you two.
I will shake Jimmy Bebe's hand.
I do want to get this point out right here before I shake hands, because I just want to get it out to explain where my frustrations really came from. Because I believe it was the Puerto Rico Backlash, that show where you guys had your watch along. I was taking a trip to Cap's homeland, of all places. There was an art show for our friend. I hadn't heard from Cap in a while. I got into Arkansas and I was like, man, I had not heard from Cap since, I won't put the business out there, but I just hadn't heard from him in a minute. I know he had a situation. I wonder how he is. I tuned into the show to be like, let's see what they're doing. My first RAWBall podcast, it happened to be the watch along. And within 5 minutes, my name is being dragged through the mud. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Because again, I was just like, mine was coming from a place of like, I truly am one. It was my empathy coming out. I was truly curious and wondering how he was doing. And that's what I was met with. And then lo and behold, I think it was 2 weeks later, even more so. And then even more so. And then when I reached out, I got nothing in return. And not to put you on blast, Maddie, because again, I got no problem. I never had a problem with you, Maddie. But the problem I guess I had the most here was that I guess there was talks of doing this before, and you were gonna reach out.
Yeah.
And I never got reached out to.
That was my fault. My message did not send.
And I'm not here to say you're lying. I'm none of that. I'm just pointing out what's happened. And I feel like that's wild that all of that. And this, I guess this is more toward, because I don't know what the conversation between y'all was. Not my business. That's y'all. It just seems a little excessive and wild for someone who had never even appointed the opportunity to accept to begin with, and then I was just getting dragged through the mud, and that's wild.
Well, I will take full responsibility for dragging you and everything you stand for in this business through the mud, because while I think you're a very intelligent human being and a man who never tells a lie, I think your particular brand, your particular method, again, the Cornette Russo thing, I think the way you treat the professional wrestling business oftentimes is a joke, because you are out for shock value. You are out to make the Jimmy Bebe name. You are out to style and profile in a way that benefits Jimmy Bebe. You don't look at the business the same way that I look at the business. And I think for someone like yourself who is older than I am, especially, given the fact that you have had the opportunity to watch more pro wrestling than I have, I think it would do you well to study the business and this industry a bit more instead of booking and shooting from the hip, because the way you run your business, the way you run your booking, especially the way you did the December pay-per-view or the October with Scott Hall, where he just comes in and wins every single belt.
He won no belts. Which one are you talking about? The one I did with Maddie where he won no belts and I just made it seem like he was because that's what people were expecting? Or are you talking about mine where he had 2 belts, which was just what had happened in the real world, and I was just fixing that? I wasn't putting them on him. He already had them. Yeah,
you made a night for Scott Hall, and it was not that Scott Hall didn't deserve to be world champion, but the fact that, the way you hip shot booking and don't think about these things logically, but I don't like your approach to the business. And I think that's our main conflict. You and I are about as oil and water as could possibly be. And
I'm still confused though, because at no point did I personally do that with Scott Hall. The thing that happened with Scott Hall had already been done and I was fixing it. Like, the booking started with him being double champion because that's what Vince Russo had already done. And then our job was to fix it. And that's what I did. So I'm a little confused.
That was 1994. Vince Russo was not even on the Raw magazine.
You're talking about the one I did with Maddie.
Stuff. I'm talking about the October pay-per-view, the one where
the Great White North.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott Hall didn't win. I just made it seem that way. That was part of the booking to make people
think it was Michaels that had the belts, right?
Only one no. If I remember correctly, nobody was a double champion in there.
No.
I just made it seem like that. Shane
I was about to say
was my
he had taken
Intercontinental
it,
champion. Shawn Michaels and Diesel were the guys going for the world title, and Razor was just in a feud with Diesel during that time. He wasn't a champion. So that's why I'm confused.
Well,
you don't have to like my booking. That's fine. Like, again,
I will never like your booking.
Not everybody's everybody cup of tea. I'm just curious about this particular scenario.
The particular scenario is this. I respect you, Jimmy. You're a very intelligent man and you're a truthful man. But when it comes to booking, you don't know jack, ever, loving, fuck, squat. You are a flash booker. You do not understand how this business should function. And
why is there a should, though? So you think it's our booking styles that make a difference? I don't think so at all. I think it's our ideas on what this should thing, because there's no one way of doing things. If you do it one way, you're limiting your audience, aka that's what AEW technically does, and that's why the audience hasn't grown. But when you do it in the way that I do it, again, because it's my preferred style, I'm not saying it's the right way, just saying it's my preferred way. You have the opportunity of presenting it to multiple people. And whereas you may alienate some, you still have a broader audience to grasp onto to begin with. But that's what I think is the difference between us. I don't think it's anything other than just it's a preferred style.
I'm into alienating anyone who's not a fan of professional wrestling. I'm into alienating every single sports entertainment fan, every single backyard wrestling fan. I'm into alienating anyone who is not a legitimate fan of the business. And I will happily piss on them anytime I get the chance. But we've essentially set our ground rules. We've essentially... We have a contract in theory, let's put it that way. And hey, you may beat me. You may very well beat me. If I lose, I lose. I will admit it. There is nothing. I will never shirk a task. If I'm beaten fair and square, all good and well. But I want my fair chance against you, because in my mind and in the minds of a lot of people who saw that Buddy Wars show, not only did I beat everyone else, I beat you. And through mishigosh, horse hawkery, I was robbed not only of my crown king, I was robbed of a position that I ultimately had to resign from because I was publicly humiliated and embarrassed. Now, who the guilty party is, I believe I've mentioned his name already. But I have to do this. I have to reclaim my dignity because I was completely and utterly treated like a worse than a redheaded stepchild. I was the grandpa who was sat at the kiddies' table for Thanksgiving. And I can't live with that. I can't allow that. I don't think you had a whole hell of a lot to do with it because you've never lied to me. So I'm gonna go with my gut on that. But whether you did or didn't is irrelevant. I want the chance to defend my good name and to show everyone who watches what we do, what you do, what anyone in this business that we does, that I am the best booker on the planet.
I just want to also point out, like, there should be no reason for you to believe I had anything to do with it, for the simple fact that at the time you were a member of my own podcast.
I was.
To screw over someone who
Oh yeah, that's 5 shows a week I was doing. I was coming on your show on Sunday nights.
That had nothing to do with Wrestle Buddy, though. That wasn't Wrestle. That was my own shit. But I'm just saying, the fact that you were on my personal channel, my personal show, and the thought that I had anything to do with screwing it is crazy. And I also just want to point out to I'm going to defend Alex's name here just a little bit because what was it that was just if you feel embarrassed, that has nothing to do with Alex. He may have created the quiz, but it was my idea to put my son there. So if you feel embarrassed, that's 100% me. And this is what I told you at the time. And then I had to tell you again. And I'm telling you one more time. The embarrassment is 100% on me. So if you want to put the blame on anybody, you can put it on me, not him, because he had nothing to do with that El Americano nightmare scenario.
The buck stops at the top. He should have said, no, we're not going to do this. Like this.
And then I don't do the show, and then they don't have a show, and then he was willing to see what I was doing with it. He put trust in me because of the work I put in. Fuckload of work I'd put in for him, and he was willing to give it a chance. And the majority feedback was that people enjoyed it. So
I don't give a shit who
I'm
enjoyed
just telling you, like that. It was, if anything, we'll call it a business decision, but a business decision that he had to make on the fly because he had no idea.
It was a decision he should have either instantly vetoed or gotten with both of us and said, hey, are you both cool with this? Which I would have instantly said, fuck that. I'm not going to, as a grown man, compete in a trivia competition with a child whose father is behind the curtain on a microphone this is about as this, you know,
The
this
quiz
makes
was stupid,
Watergate
right?
look like a well-organized crime.
Regardless of who was in front of the thing, the quiz was stupid, right?
Oh, I agree. The idea to do a quiz was
I couldn't have made
Even
it any
I
more
agree
dumb.
that it was dumb.
What's that?
Even I agree that it was dumb. I originally went into it the day before thinking it was going to be a booking off.
Again, I tried, I pushed, didn't happen. And I tried and pushed, other idea didn't happen. So I went with this, and I did what I could, and that's all it was. Again, no embarrassment. There was literally, he could have just not done the show, but he'd been promoting it, and we were trying to get it done so we can move on to the second season. So he just went with it. It's unfortunate that you felt embarrassed and you felt attacked and all that.
Not
I
felt,
apologize
was.
that you feel attacked, but you weren't attacked. That was never the idea. The idea was that it's a booking thing, and I gave a character, and I was in the middle of a booking personally.
I was offered
cameras
up as the
and
sacrificial lamb simply so he could get ratings.
Anybody that was in that chair was going to get the same scenario if it was the exact same thing played out. If it was Maddie, if it was Tyler, if I don't care who, it could have been Andy himself, my boy, the guy I love more than anybody over there. It could have been him, and I would have done the exact same thing, not for any other reason other than entertainment value, because it's a show and it's to entertain. And I like to kind of look at things and do things a little differently. Quizzes,
well, maybe you should look at things a little less in terms of entertaining, because
a quiz is boring to me, and I wanted to spruce it up. That's literally what it was, because everybody on YouTube does freaking quizzes. So how can I make ours stand out?
Doing them?
Yeah. How can I make ours?
And in case you haven't noticed, in your observance of professional wrestling, booking is not a popularity contest. It's not about always giving the people what they want. It's about giving them the logical steps in a story, not just throwing them red meat.
Question: if I was someone who was screaming conspiracy theory, and then we ran into a scenario in which I felt conspired against, because that's, again, the character and how things were falling in line, the booking of it, wouldn't it make sense that I would pull some shenanigan like that because I felt conspired against?
Not to that degree.
But
not to that degree where you embarrass.
That's a personal opinion.
Where you embarrass a man in front of his colleagues, in front of anyone watching. It was that was over the line.
This is embarrassing to him. They were like, "This is funny." It wasn't. They were laughing at you. They were just laughing with the show.
No,
nobody I've talked to.
By laughing at the show, they were laughing at me.
No, you can't say that. That's crazy talk. That's crazy. So anytime someone says something funny, I'm laughing at them, not with them. That's the idea there, and that's just not the case.
No, this was not a stand-up comedian.
This is a dude playing a character, and he was being funny, and it was a booking storyline. So that's the whole idea behind it all.
The job was to book the show, not to. In about an hour's point, dismantle everything a man had worked for about a year. So that that kind of rubs me wrong, Jimmy.
Okay. I'll even say this. I had participated in 6 quizzes up until that point. And I can, without a shadow of a doubt, say I was screwed out of 5 of those quizzes. I didn't complain or anything one time because it ain't about me. It's about the show. And if I was to sit there and complain and start throwing the show on the bus, that puts credibility into question. And that ain't what I'm going to do. I'm there.
No, and what we were doing, it wasn't about the show. It was about us and what we were doing, what we were working towards.
My thing was about us. Nick's show. That was my entire time. And just to double up on that, if you could go back and look at when we were all saying, make the votes, do this, do that. 98% of the time, I was saying, watch this show, check us out, vote for who you think is better. It was me. That's how I promoted the show. Whereas I didn't get that from the other sides. Everyone else was like, just vote for me. That tells me it was about you, not the show.
It wasn't about the show. It was about you and I competing against each other. No,
I guess that's where me and
the show was secondary. Nicholas was doing his show, but ultimately the competition was between you and I. And that's where the focus should have been. The competition between these two guys who have worked their ass off to get to this point. Once you get to the finals, once you get to that point, the show itself is secondary. It's about you and I and the work we put in. And how we should have had 100%. A legitimate competition, not whatever the fuck that was that went down.
I disagree 100% because without the show, we don't get to do it. And that's the point. That's why I put the show first. And again, when I don't feel like that was being reciprocated, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way after the fact too. It was just like, yo, this whole thing just blew up and it was nuts. It was nuts. I was doing this for fun. And then the fun was taken away.
I do nothing for fun except sit on my ass, drink beer, and play Madden. That's what I do for fun. Anytime I'm here, anytime I'm working, that ain't for fun. It's because I'm here. Even in my fantasy leagues, it ain't for fun. It's because I'm trying to whip y'all fucking ass.
And that's fine. That's your perspective and view on these things. Mine is different. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying I'm wrong either. Because in my head, I'm right. I didn't do anything wrong. I had no ill will intended. I just did what I was doing. And up until then, everybody was on board with the whole conspiracy theory thing. They loved it. They thought it was hilarious. It was until then, that's when people started kind of like, oh, well, we had a few that were, oh, well, that wasn't that fun. And it was because you felt like you
in a booking sense, you booked yourself into a corner where there was no way out of that secondary storyline for you to actually make this work unless you showed up and did it yourself, because you had to know somewhere in the back of your crown that if I do this, it's going to blow up and it's not going to look good. See, that's the thing where you and I differ. Finishes. You have to finish matches off. You have to finish stories off. You have to finish it off as much hoo-ha and chicanery that might have come down, at the end of it, it's 1, 2, 3 right in the middle between the two participants. And while I was looking for a 1, 2, 3, and if I was even told, hey, Cap, we need you to do the job. We want to promote Jimmy. He's our big star. We need you to do the job. And then maybe next year it'll be your turn, something like, I'm like, okay, I'm the new guy. I'll do the job. I respect Jimmy.
I would never do that.
You don't do a Montreal. You don't do a hoo-ha like that.
I would never do that. I would never have because again, it's not about me. It was never about me. It's about the show. I wanted Nick's show to succeed. We literally praised Nick at the beginning of the show, and here I am.
Oh, it really succeeded because within a couple months, about just about every talented person that Alex had resigned because as his ego continued to grow. How many great talents left that network? Myself.
They left.
Maddie,
it had nothing to do with that.
Nick.
It had nothing to do with that. So
you don't see that as a precursor?
Not at all, because I know exactly.
A bomb does not explode unless someone hits the button. A stick of dynamite does not go off unless someone lights a fuse. And he lit a fuse when he did that because he showed to everyone he was willing to throw one of the boys under the bus for his own sake and ego.
He didn't throw you under the bus. And two, I know the other ones left on their own free will of a completely different situation. It had nothing at all to do with that. You're talking about this, that's 1A, and then the other thing is Zebra. They have nothing to do with one another. Literally nothing.
Well, you being a conspiracy theorist should be able to connect the dots.
Huh?
I'll leave it. I'll say that. You as being a conspiracy theorist should be able to connect the dots between A to Z.
I was there. I watched it unfold. I know exactly what happened. And that's nobody's business other than theirs. They want to share their business, they can. It's not for me to do because I'm not sharing other people's business like that. I'm just here to say it had nothing to do with the Buddy Wars show at all. It had something to do with something completely different. Completely different. That's their story. That's their business. I'm saying right now, the only thing I can say without a shadow of a doubt, it had nothing to do with Buddy Wars. Nothing.
Well, I certainly hope that Alex is a fine fiddle player because eventually I think Rome is going to burn. I'll put it that way. You are a talented individual who will always find a spot in this business to do what he does. But as for the hidden hand, the guy at the top, little bit gone cuckoo.
Great
little
man.
bit Nero for me.
Been one of the better people I've met on Twitter, hands down.
Oh, I've met a lot of people on Twitter far better than
it's all personal opinion. You have I happen to think someone's really sucks and you love them. That's just how these things go. That doesn't mean you're right. That doesn't mean I'm right. That's just our personal opinions on things. I can say one without a shadow of a doubt that I don't agree with this quiz thing. I told him that many, many, many times. I tried to do it, but that doesn't change the fact he's a great individual. He's been a great friend. And if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have got the shows to begin with. So it's like to throw him under the bus like that, it's kind of wild off of an idea and a thought. Because you think something happened and it just didn't.
You poke me with a needle, I'll throw your ass off a goddamn building.
Then
you don't
it
fuck
should
with
have been
me.
directed at me.
You
though,
do not screw
him.
me. And he had the power to keep that from happening. But we don't even have to worry about that son of a bitch. Right now, it's you and I, and us setting up what is going to be the rematch of the century. Fuck Ollie Frazier, fuck Hart and Michaels. You and I are going to be the rematch of the century because we, as I know, are going to work our asses off and we are going to book something phenomenal. And this time around, the better booker is going to win because this time there's no hidden hand. There's no internet poll. It's going to be judges who know what they're doing, who are intelligent and discernible, who will finally crown the Cap as the winner.
I'm the captain now. I'm in the captain's table. I got the captain's hat. I'm the champ. I will be the champ afterwards. I will be the champ forever. I've yet to meet anybody that books better than me, and I never will. That's the fact of the matter. That's the cold, hard truth, and that's just what it is and what it's going to be. So if we have our date, we could do the virtual handshake now. Now that I've said my piece, there we go. We can get in contact about dates and all the other stuff. And if that's all, then that's all, folks.
Yeah, by the time this is over, I'm going to be taking that hat. I'm going to be virtually shoving it straight up your fucking ass.
Well, we got about, half hour left of the show? Jim, do you want to stick around and see any of Cap's fantasy picks?
No, I will watch them, though, because I will give you guys credit. I love the work you guys do with your I don't like baseball. You do a good job with your baseball. I appreciate the fantasy football help. I've been using it. And you have a kick-ass intro song.
Thank you.
So, but I do have to go eat. I will listen, though.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to thank him for coming on. Wrestle Buddy's own, the first ever Buddy Wars champion. We'll put it in asterisks. Jimmy Bay. Thank you for coming on, Jimmy. And stay safe, stay healthy, stay hydrated.
Oh, yeah, baby. Deuces.
Have a good one.
And then there were 3. We got about 26 minutes left before the hard cutoff.
I can go until 8 if you guys can.
Want to go another hour?
If you want to.
Yeah, we can definitely go another hour.
We got some NFL news to get through. Let me
we
grab
got a little
some.
bit of NFL news. We might.
Let me grab some. Let me grab some beverages, and we'll go through the NFL news.
Well, then, we have definitely set it up. The booking rematch. Damn, I just went through a whole monologue while it was muted. Shit. Well.
Take 2.
Good evening, Dave. That was
He did a whole ass monologue.
I did a whole
and
monologue
just
while
to
it was
me.
muted. Right to Devin. this has been an interesting day. The entire first hour has went to Jimmy Bebe and Brandon. Shut up. It's been a long day, and I'm just glad that we got this set up. Jimmy Bebe, El Capitan, the booking rematch of the century. Devin is corpsing like a motherfucker in the corner.
The way you said that just reminded me of fucking Waterboy. We already went over that, jackass. Don't say it. We know.
Davey's got a suggestion for the booking war. What is it,
All
Dave?
right. What is it, Dave?
Well, I did not expect that, but I'm very happy to know that we've got the setup for the booking rematch of the century.
Oh
It went better than I assumed it would. I had the anticipation I was going to lose my cool more than once. However, it went about as good as it possibly could have gone.
That's already up there after Cap shoved it up there, Jim?
Oh, I haven't shoved it up there yet, but I will. Right up to the brim.
Well, we do got a little bit of football news. Damn, this week's going to be fucking crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's go
we gotta like haul ass through this. So running backs have gotten signed.
Yep. Dalvin Cook signs with the Jets. Ezekiel Elliott signs with the Patriots, essentially negating Breece Hall and Ramondre Stevenson as fantasy contributors.
Alex Collins passing away. We do have to take a small moment of silence as a former Raven has passed away.
Former Razorback.
At the early age of 28. So small moment of silence. All right.
Very tragic accident for a young man.
Devin did tell me that it was a motorcycle accident,
That's what I've
and
been seeing on Twitter.
That is horrible.
He went through the back window of an SUV.
Oh, Jesus. That's horrible.
The Colts have named Anthony Richardson starting quarterback.
Yeah, they have.
And it is week 1 of the preseason. Who's their backup, Devin?
I don't know who the fuck the Colts backup is.
Is it Brissett?
Is it?
I think it's Jacoby Brissett.
Here's a little bit of interest for Dev. Apparently the new OC is using plays and routes pitched by Lamar.
Oh, Lamar is
okay
booking moves in the playbook.
That's what's up. And little bit of Raven history fact: we are 24 preseason wins in a row. I know that don't mean shit, but we haven't lost.
How in those 24 preseason wins? How many Super Bowl victories do you have?
Fuck you.
Exactly.
Preseason does not mean shit.
I know.
Well, now, Matthew, let's not forget. Let's go to some Bronco news.
Yay! Javonte Williams is back. Hopefully his fucking knee holds up. I fucking hate this team already.
Quoting Sean Payton, he's doing well. We'll have a plan. I plan on playing him. We'll see pitch count wise towards the end of the week.
Why did we sign Brett Maher?
We'll be smart, but I do see him playing.
Why did we sign Brett Maher? He kicked the Cowboys' playoff hopes away last year. Why would you sign him but let go of McManus?
And he's going to be kicking a few more playoff hopes away, I'm guessing, this year.
I'm going to fucking jump off a building in Denver this year.
We mentioned Ezekiel Elliott now with the Patriots.
Yeah, Zeke Elliott to Davies Patriots.
Back to number 15. Back to his roots.
Hey, he cut his hair too.
This has kind of been the big story of the day, though.
The hair, you get more aerodynamic. Isn't that right, Devin? Devin, isn't that?
No.
There is nothing aerodynamic about Dev's hair. Dev's hair is just
aerodynamic. Damn it.
Dev's hair just does what Dev's hair does.
Devin, your hair fucking stops any wind going through. This is horrible.
The blind side is not.
Yeah.
We were blinded to the blind side.
So we were talking about this earlier in our group chat.
Yeah.
Apparently, the family that in the movie adopted Michael Orr
Did not adopt Michael
Orr and used his likeness and shit for royalties, but cut him out of all the royalties, meaning that Michael Orr will never get a single dime from the fucking Blindside movie, which is absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
And let it be known, he was in Super Bowl 50 against the Broncos, but, you know, we kind of demolished the Panthers' offensive line.
Are we at all surprised that a rich white family from Tennessee is screwing over a brother?
It's tragic, and I feel so bad for Michael Orr, especially since he literally was played out to be mentally handicapped in the movie.
Yeah, that was one thing that kind of didn't sit well with me as I watched that movie, and I've seen it a couple times. They played him as, I don't want to use the word mentally handicapped. They played him as if he was really slow and that he needed the Tuohys to kind of tell him, you know, how to tie his shoes.
Yeah.
And
he had already been practicing for offensive line, but they acted in the movie like he never seen a fucking offensive line coverage in his life.
they acted in the movie as if the guy was, you know,
mentally handicapped.
Well, there's a difference between mentally handicapped and slow. Like a mental handicap, like something's diagnosed, something, you know. I mean, I'm not familiar with the particular diseases that accompany that. I'm talking like they portrayed him as like Forrest Gump slow. Forrest Gump wasn't mentally handicapped; he was just slow, and they portrayed Michael as being slow and dim-witted.
And Michael Orr, thank God, is suing the family for all this bullshit finally.
Let's see. MLB raised McClanahan to have Tommy John. Oh yeah, let's get to this. MLB, we gotta cover this. Wander Franco.
We're getting near October season.
Okay. Wander Franco.
Shut up.
Wander Franco.
This one's bad. So
potentially bad if he's been doing what they say he's been doing.
So
from our conversation, it's fairly baseless so far from what we've learned.
I've seen reports, and the major story going around is that Wander Franco, 22 years old, is banging a 14-year-old.
What the fuck?
That is the rumor going around.
That is the rumor going around.
But more reports have come out since early this morning that she is actually 18 years old, already has a child. And
why does the child matter if she's 18?
It's the fact that she's already 18. But shut the fuck up, Devin. But yeah, so there's more reports that have come out saying that this is an 18-year-old that's already had children. He's 22 years old. She's 18. In high school terms, freshman to senior, which is still kind of awkward. But we've seen weirder shit. Our grandfather and grandmother were 15 years apart.
Cool.
That's a different time period, Devin.
Cradle robbers is what
Yeah,
we're talking
exactly.
about.
But we have absolutely no idea what to think of this because we don't know anything. Because apparently this 18-year-old / 14-year-old has asked for hush money from Wander Franco, who's been having a tremendous season for the Tampa Bay Rays.
I had not heard about the hush money aspect of it.
Yeah, that was another rumor. So we're going off of like 12 different rumors.
In the words of Ron Simmons. Damn.
My initial gut thought here.
I'm just hoping that this isn't another situation like that poor punter from Buffalo.
But how do you
That
get
literally
18
got
to 14?
that's 4-year gap. That's
My-
middle school to high school.
Yeah.
That's a grown-ass
My
man.
initial thoughts here are that Wander Franco could not be this stupid.
Dude, he's
Oh.
making a fucking bag.
He is. My
He's one of the
initial
highest
thoughts
paid
here
players on the
are
Rays.
that this is just
On the
something
Rays.
that
And the Rays.
got out there that doesn't exist because, and I'm not a Wander Franco fan by any state. I'm just looking at this
Whose
from a
team is
baseball
he on?
fan's perspective. I love having great young talents in the game, more the merrier. But I kind of, if it's proven to be true, then it's proven to be true. But I kind of find it hard to believe that he would be engaging in these kind of activities, knowing the repercussions, and that should something like this get out, his career is done.
Oh yeah.
So
if it
I'm
came-
leaning towards the
really-
side that hopefully Wander Franco is an intelligent young man, and I don't think you get to be a star MLB shortstop by being a moron. But at the same time, this is the guy who, when he first heard the Penn State allegations, thought, "No way, this is possible. This has got to be some kind of, this has got to be some kind of hoo-ha." Turns out it was more than just a little hoo-ha. It was some fucked up shit.
It might be a little hoo-ha.
Little hoo-ha.
Yeah. Well, there's that old saying, and I would almost guess that it comes from journalistic circles, that where there's smoke, there's fire. Right now, there's a lot of smoke. So I'm wondering just how big the fire is. I'm hoping it's just a couple of twigs burning in the forest that people misunderstood for, Burning Man bonfire, and that there's really nothing to this. But we have been wrong before. We've been right before, but we've been wrong before. So
Once again, the poor punter that got drafted to the Bills that had his entire career ruined because of horrible allegations against him
yes.
that never turned out to be true.
And then the Deshaun Watsons. For some
Who's
reason-
got a massive contract and he did this shit.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
And then we got the Ray Rice.
That's about pretty much Aaron Judge likely to avoid surgery on his ailing toe after the season. Looks like he's going to be playing through it. We're getting into we're not getting. We are in the final stretch of the Major League Baseball season, and the upper echelon are slowly starting to show themselves. The Dodgers have taken a complete command of that division. Brewers are up 3.5 in their division. The Braves have that division locked up. Rangers and Astros still fighting. Twins have the Central, I would argue, more or less locked up unless Cleveland just strikes fire. And then the AL East is Baltimore and Tampa. It's going to be a race between those two. There's going to be some cool division races. But I think
as we're getting towards the end.
Yeah, of the 6 division races, I would say the AL East is still up for grabs. The AL West is still up for grabs.
Champa was on fucking Main Event.
And the NL Central. Those 3 divisions are still up for grabs. The other 3, I think, are pretty well sewn up. So we've got 3 out of 6 that are going to be interesting.
No, what the fuck was Ricky Shane?
Ricky Shane Page, bitch.
We may actually be able to wrap this up by 7:30.
All right, so go through our baseball standings, and then next week we'll run through the entire show. Will probably be running through our fantasy predictions.
Well, looking at the Red Stitch Rotisserie League right now, we've got Steve Champagne, the Fetville Farm Leaguers are in first place by 4 games over Akuna Matata. Justin Dev is hanging on in third place.
Devin, you're still in third place. You might make your money back at the very least.
We got Casey Lilly hanging on in fourth place. Then we got the captain is at 56.5, so I'm in sixth place right now. I'm struggling to come up there, but my pitching woes just continue to. Oh God!
I spent the most amount of money is
Devin, don't even talk about most amount of money. I put $100 of my budget into
So did
Shohei Ohtani.
I went like 102. You went like 112.
Tennessee
First
Banjos
Like
are
102,
in seventh.
108.
Maddie's in eighth place, and
Yay!
bringing up the rear is Venus Flytrap, our buddy Dave, who
He's waiting for the football season for
Wanna-
putting
wanna
Ezekiel
trade-
Elliott
wanna
on his
trade
team.
Judge for Ohtani? See
No,
what happens to our team?
not really, because I think you would drop to the bottom.
I actually get points.
Fuck off. Ohtani is the only reason I get points.
I know, and I'd be taking that away from you.
You'd probably be at the top.
yeah, it's been an interesting baseball season. I really expected my team to do better this year. We started out, we were very much in the thick of things, but as the year's gone on, and I think I said back in June, we had a weekend that just absolutely dismantled us. And I was like, there's no real coming back from this. And I've been right thus far. You can't have a series of, 2, 3, 4 days that just where your entire pitching staff gets blown up and come back from that.
Yeah.
But yeah. What else is going on here? Next week, obviously, as Maddie said, we'll have, a lot more fantasy football.
We're probably going to run through all of Cap's fantasy football rankings.
Which
next
I
week.
updated my running backs today, given the new signings.
Now, Cap, before we go, do you want to promote tomorrow's show?
We don't have a show tomorrow.
Oh, is Dave Holland not available tomorrow?
No, he's not available tomorrow.
Oh, shit. Okay. Never
Yeah,
mind.
I'm still. I actually got an email from him. Where was it here? I'll have to go back through these. So we're looking at potentially next Wednesday for that. Dave, I'll deal with you later. Yeah, we're looking at next week, possibly for Dave. We're looking at doing a full entire episode on his favorite band and one of my all-time favorites, Kiss, which I'm guessing we may have to do that as a two-parter because I don't see how you can encapsulate Kiss in 90 minutes because we're looking to do 90-minute episodes with Dave from here on out, and I don't see how you can tie Kiss up in 90 minutes because there's just so much going on there. So that could be a two-parter.
I was about to say, we plan on bringing Dave Holland on for a lot of one-on-ones with Cap for the sole reason of Cap. What was the name that you wanted to pitch for it? Because I was thinking Into the Vault with Dave Holland.
Hey, that'd be a good one. We haven't really figured out a name yet, but yeah, bringing Dave on, once or twice a month for a deep dive into music. Because that's Cap's second favorite passion apart from sports
and
is
he's
music.
So intelligent when it comes to music. We love him on, and so does our
Dave took a liking to Dave.
Yeah, Dave even messaged me on Twitter and was like, "So that Dave Holland guy is real smart."
That Cap guy, though, what are you doing with him?
Fuck him.
Yeah, so we're looking to, and it's sort of a cross promotion we're doing with Dave's YouTube channel. He actually released a video of the top rock instrumentals the other day, which I shared on Twitter. I don't agree with every single thing on the list. There were a few left out that I personally messaged him about, and which I haven't heard back from. But it's a damn good list if you're into rock instrumentals. It's up on his YouTube channel, String 'em Up. Dave's going to be contributing to the show fairly regularly, and it's a partnership that that I'm going to enjoy the hell out of.
Yeah. We look forward to working with him now and in the future.
So we had an hour of Jimmy, Bebe, and I chirping at each other's throats. We had about 30 minutes of sports news. Anything we want to get out of the way before we put the kibosh on all this mesh?
I'm genuinely looking forward to the booking rematch of the century.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be
No more than I.
For that.
And honestly, with us promoting it, with Jimmy promoting it, with us promoting it, with it
Nick
being
from
on
Wrestling
Nick's,
Legion.
with it being on Wrestling Legion for Nick's show, I could not be more happy. So I really look forward to it. And yeah, I was about to say, what does Triple H and Stephanie say? It's best for business.
Well, I've never been a huge fan of that phrase, but sometimes in pro wrestling, that's what you do. But not always.
And I'm not going to lie, so happy we could have Jimmy Bebe on the show.
I'm glad he and I got to clear the air to a certain degree. There's still
a little animosity there, but that's going to be settled with the booking rematch. And to find out who is the better booker, as Cap's header is the Booker Man. In the words of Brian Pillman, I respect you, Booker Man.
Well, Kevin Sullivan's about, 4'10", 5 foot even. So,
and you're 6+. So
yeah. So now
Kevin Sullivan looks about my height, but if I had the gut of a fucking penguin.
Well, the thing is, Kevin Sullivan was a bodybuilder when he started out.
No fucking way.
He was a bodybuilder when he started out in Florida and got into the wrestling business under Eddie Graham in Florida Championship Wrestling. He was a bodybuilder. Now, granted, with his body, you can only build so much. But yeah, Kevin Sullivan in his prime he may have been a little dude, but he was a stout, strong motherfucker. And one of the guys, along with Dusty Rhodes, who learned from Eddie Graham about booking. Kevin Sullivan's one of my all-time favorite bookers because as he has personally stated, he was a heel booker. He booked to get heat on heels. And I love when you look at the initial run of the NWO from July, well, I call it, May 1996 up until, 1998. Kevin Sullivan was the main booker who was booking a lot of the NWO. And, you want to see why they took off, why they got so much heat. Kevin Sullivan. But anyway, that's all I've got. The boys, anything else the boys want to talk about?
Can't think of anything.
Not really, other than I am truly glad that we could get Jimmy Bebe on the show. Glad that you and him could get that conversation out. It took the full hour that I was expecting, so high five on that for fucking
I honestly
planning.
thought it probably was going to go the whole show. That was my.
But
I could have put money on that one.
We got it. We got.
I'm rarely at a loss for words, and today wasn't one of them.
Oh, without a doubt. I personally cannot wait for the booking rematch of the century. And yeah, as we hit that half-hour point of the 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock hour, however you look at it, I'm going to sign off. From Devin, from Cap, from me. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay hydrated. We have been the RAWBall Podcast. Please get ready to stick with us for the football season. Ball out with the RAWBall Podcast. For tuning in.